First and foremost, huge announcement. Mojo is finally getting the NBA involved, and the NBA is with Mojo now. Now, as NBA fans, we've been waiting for this, and we all have our agendas. We all have our favorite players, and now it's the first time now with the NBA that you can bet on your agendas. Now, there's no more chatting about who do you think is going to be the MVP. I know Riv has told me religiously that Jordan Poole is a future MVP in this league, and now you can finally go and invest on that belief. Now, we know that Mojo obviously got going with the NFL this season, and we were huge advocates of that. Me with my guy, Tua Tagovailoa, Joel with Jalen Hurts, and Riv with Brock Purdy, the highest grossing player this season, one of the best calls Riv's had in NFL by far.
Calm.
And now with the NBA, we have more questions. Ben Simmons. Oh. Are you going long? Are you going short?
That's a question.
Right now, he's 92nd right now on all the players available.
I'll be honest. He's more expensive than Bol, right?
I think so.
I'd rather have Bol.
I'd be honest, I'd rather have McChicken from McDonald's than go long
for roll-up or Ben Simmons in his career?
For roll-up?
For roll-up. The
really
rainbow kind.
I'll say it's not really I don't like fruit roll-ups like that.
It's a casual take.
You guys saw what Jock Bond said about Ben Simmons, right?
He was sick of it.
That he can't figure out a lineup. That's an issue. He does this for a living.
Yeah.
I mean,
what he said is everything we say whenever we talk about Ben Simmons.
He was just being open and
honest.
honest.
It's just hard to find a spot with Ben. If you're playing him next to Claxton, it's hard to find spacing. And then if you have another playmaker on the court, then what is he to do without the ball in his hands?
That's what you call a garbage basketball player.
And then now on the opposite side, you have Zion Williamson, right now the 20th ranked player in terms of Mojo ratings and where the prices lie. Do you want to go long on Zion's career and bank on the possibility that he reaches the potential we all think that he could reach if he stays healthy?
No, I think Zion is one of those few guys where you're like, fuck it, let's take the risk.
I agree with that. I agree, especially for the fact that we know how great Zion is. For him to be 20th is pretty amazing. But now we all have the possibility and now the opportunity to really put our NBA knowledge at the forefront. And now you get to put your player predictions and try and get them into either long or short-term investments. So, Riv, we're going to start with you.
Yeah, you want me to go first?
I would appreciate that because I know that obviously I mentioned his name a little bit earlier, but I know you have some things to get off your chest about a couple guys.
Westbrook?
Yeah, I think he's valued at an incredible rate.
Future Bull.
I would lock in with Russell Westbrook. Now, let's be serious.
Who are some guys you're going to invest in, Riv?
Okay, so biggest risers for me. I'm gonna stay with my agendas, ride with my two guys. It's gonna be Jordan Poole and Jonathan Kuminga. I think that was the easy answer for me. I think everybody knows. Once you see how low they was, Jordan Poole. I mean, you had guys like Fred VanVleet, Clint Capella, Aaron Gordon. I wrote a few more names. John Collins. Yeah,
they got nasty.
Yeah, they had a couple guys in front of him, but I think and it's funny because I think the way Jordan Poole's career has went, he went from drafted to the G League to the six-man to semi-starter. Semi-starter. I think it's interesting how he has shown his work ethic and shown his ability to get better every year. So I would bank on him. And then Jonathan Kuminga. I mean, he had so much raw talent coming out the draft, and all the scouts were so high on his potential if he went to the right situation. And if you watch Golden State games this year, you've seen the slow progressions in his game, getting better game by game, understanding reads more, understanding defenses, understanding offenses, where to be on the court. Defensively, he's been taking the best guys night in, night out.
Savage.
It's been incredible to see his transition this year. And based off how the Warriors are looking with Bob Myers, they might have to bring him back. Dre might not get an extension. It's looking like a possible end of an era. You have to start putting your money in.
This is huge. He's not kidding.
Let's go.
Nah, he's spitting.
You have to start putting your money in and thinking like, all right, end of an era. You've seen Kuminga. They're really high on him. This is one of the guys. So for me, and Jordan Poole already got his bag. And as long as he starts, he's going to put up the numbers. So for me, Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, my biggest risers.
All right, John, with your professional opinion, who are your two risers?
Maybe I'm a little bit too much of a Shaedon Sharpe optimist here.
Okay.
But he is outside the top 100.
Yep.
Which to me is insane because I look at Anthony Edwards and Zach LaVine, guys with that same skill set who can finish at an elite level, have the shooting. Shaedon's my age. He's 19 years old. And this year he's had his lumps. He's playing on a team trying to contend, even though they're failing very badly. I think in 3 or 4 years, Shaedon Sharpe's going to be a clear all-star in the Western Conference. And for Portland, whether or not they trade Dame, the thing I do know is that Sharpe is the new age of a shooting guard that can shoot, can score from all 3 levels, has the tools to defend, and I think he has a higher motor than a Jalen Green, a player that's in a losing environment, is not going to have the foundation, the organization. Like, the Rockets are a laughingstock, but with the Blazers, I trust them a lot more. And so for Shaedon Sharpe, he's listed out, what is this?
What is this?
$98 out to the top 100.
Come up.
There are guys above him like Malcolm Brogdon, who have already played well into their careers. Christian Wood is above him. And then he's barely above Sadiq Bey and Trey Murphy. I mean, that to me is the easy sleeper here.
And one thing that I do want to talk about is the fact that these guys are definitely priced differently than the NFL. Like my guy, of course. LeBron James right now is the most expensive guy, which there's no doubt about that. Right now he's $516. The most expensive in NFL is Tom Brady, and I believe he's just under $200. I'm only going to assume that it's because they play a significant less amount of games, which is the only reason that could allow for these prices to be so much higher. So again, LeBron is $516, then you have number 2 Kevin Durant at $392.
I'm very shocked that. Sorry to cut you off. I'm very shocked that KD over Steph, because we talk about value in pricing. I mean, I think Steph, we can all agree in terms of value, is a top 3 player in the world, especially with his franchise, how valuable he is to the team. And Kevin Durant bounces from team to team. You know, sometimes he's hurt a lot. I was very interested to see KD at number 2. It definitely doesn't go by who's the better player. They just go about, especially with the Joker, who possibly might win another MVP, and him being lower than a couple guys who don't even have that. So I think that was definitely interesting.
One thing you said, John, that was interesting was that Jalen Green doesn't really have the foundation in Houston, and I don't disagree. But I will say is we kind of saw that with Devin Booker in Phoenix. They really did not have a strong foundation, but Devin Booker was out there balling. I'm not saying Jalen Green's going to be D-Book. I mean, I'd be a fool to say that. But we can't say that we haven't seen it before.
It was looking that way. And you're right. I mean, Book got very lucky to get the GM and James Jones, who was well-respected, to help him get Chris Paul. And then Monty Williams they got lucky there. The Lakers wouldn't want to pay Monty, and so he fell at Phoenix. So, I mean, most teams that are in that dysfunction, they don't get out the way the Suns did. I mean, they've come out very well.
Fair enough.
For sure.
Go ahead, Joel.
I was going to say, and it's not like Portland is this glamorous organization we look at, right, like the Warriors or someone like that, but it just goes to show how down bad the Rockets have been, that we look at them as one of the worst organizations in basketball, that we could prop up Portland, who year after year seems to fail Damian Lillard. And a very weird trade deadline. We didn't talk about them much, but they want to compete, but they trade away Josh Hart for Cam Reddish. That's like a rebuilding move. Strange move for them. I guess that maybe Cam Reddish and Dame Lillard.
Strange move for a casual.
Well, now Matisse Thybulle can shoot all of a sudden. Matisse made 4 threes in his debut. Josh Hart's making threes. I mean,
okay.
Josh Hart, you slept. You slept, and
I'm shooting.
2-game sample size.
I'm speaking for Joel here, and of course my Knicks.
Well, no, John.
Some respect on Josh Hart.
In the beginning, John was there, and then he fell off, and now he's back on.
With who? Josh Hart?
Move. Yeah.
Or the move itself?
The Josh Hart guy.
So are you essentially saying that everyone eventually becomes Mr. Flip-A-Side?
I am not essentially saying.
It kind of sounded exactly what you just said.
No, I'm saying John took a page out of Joel's book.
Got it.
Got caught.
Got it. Ooh.
He's been around us that long. You know what I mean? Like,
stop hanging out with us, John. Stop hanging out with us.
I thought the move was great. I mean, you get a high profile superstar in Cam Reddish. It's just you don't fall.
I died at the Cam Reddish highlights you put on Twitter.
Oh God,
bro, I'm surprised that one of your risers wasn't Cam Reddish.
I didn't click on it. Was it 2 minutes?
One of your risers wasn't Cam Reddish.
I'm gonna wait.
Is he on the list?
I did not see him here. I know he's a player available, but
he wasn't on the top
on the
100
spreadsheet. No.
I'm gonna wait on that. I'm gonna definitely lock in on him. Like, I'm gonna go buy him because I know he like $4.
He's not on the app.
What?
Yeah, and that is crazy.
He's
painful.
not on the app.
I'm gonna talk to Harrison.
I have to get that done.
Yeah,
all right, Joel, let me get your 2 biggest risers.
All right, so I have a couple. First of all, if you just want to be safe, don't get crazy. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Barton, Marcus Smart, Rob Williams, Al Horford.
Okay.
If you just want to go with the future,
I don't know, he's
a future champion. You know what I mean? You could go with some Celtics boys, but outside of that, maybe some guys who are cheaper. One name that popped out to me was Jaren Jackson Jr. He's around the same price as guys like Giddey, Vucevic, Tobias Harris. I feel like Tobias Harris can be a name bring up a lot because his price is very interesting. But JJJ, I mean, he could be a multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year. He's going to be on the Grizzlies, who's going to be competitive year in and year out. He's going to be on all-NBA defensive teams. So I looked at a lot of these, seeing who are these guys around. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. at the end of his career can be much higher than guys like Josh Giddey, Vooch, and Tobias Harris, and especially a young up-and-coming team like Memphis, who hasn't really reached their ceiling yet. Obviously, talks like they have reached their ceiling, but they're not there quite yet. Another name I picked is a rookie, Keegan Murray. He's one of the cheapest players available right now. He is a rookie, and he's probably been the best shooting rookie out of everybody in this draft class, shooting 41% from three. Some of the names around him are Devin Vassell, Jeremy Grant, and Jaden Ivey. And I think his role and his skill, obviously, is just going to grow with time. He's on a Kings team that is definitely up and coming, right? A team that surprised everybody, one of the best teams in the West for the 3 seed right now. And he has some good pieces around him like De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis. And maybe as those guys age, Keegan Murray kind of takes some of that spotlight. Last name I'll say really quickly is Jalen Brunson. We're going to have a whole topic about him later, so I don't want to get too much into it.
The star.
But he's been phenomenal this last month and a half of the season, really all season long, but this month and a half specifically,
2023.
He's been ridiculous,
Been a dog.
snubbed for the All-Star game. But obviously we know New York gave him a 4-year contract. He's going to be there for a while, and it makes you think the way they're playing right now, the way he's playing specifically, and Randall, how they're playing with each other, what does this team look like if they're able to land a superstar?
All right, so my 2 biggest risers. Number 1, I have Cade Cunningham. Now, I have to throw this disclaimer out there because I was getting scolded before the show. Cade Cunningham is Riv's guy. That is Riv's guy, but
Appreciate that.
I just want to give him that acknowledgement. Now, real quick to talk about Cade Cunningham. Right now, he's ranked 57th among players available right now on Mojo. He costs $158. And Cade Cunningham was a strong candidate for Rookie of the Year last year, and he was putting up great numbers outside of like the first month of his rookie season where he was really struggling to find himself shooting the basketball. But then he really got comfortable. Now, of course, the injury definitely lowered where he is positioned right now, but you have guys like Benedict Mathurin, who we can give credit where credit is due. He's playing very well for his rookie season. I simply am taking Cade Cunningham over him. Franz Wagner, who is having a great year, that's a little bit more understandable, but I feel like Cade Cunningham's ceiling is higher. You have Alperen Şengün and Tobias Harris ranked over him. Now, Alperen has been playing very good basketball. With all due respect, I'm taking Cade Cunningham. With his ability to play make, his ability to score the basketball, Cade Cunningham is simply the guy I feel like is a little bit too low on this list. Next, I have Nick Claxton. Now, I was enlightened on Twitter after I was getting scolded for saying, oh, you clearly haven't watched Claxton play basketball this season, when I put Rob Will ahead of him over who I would prefer defensively. Now, I can acknowledge that I still would take Rob Will, but I can also acknowledge that him being 98th on this list is crazy, especially when a guy like, with all due respect, Ben Simmons is ahead of him. Jabari Smith is ahead of him. And if you believe in his ceiling, that's understandable, but what Claxton has shown this season deserves more acknowledgement than being the 98th ranked player right now in Mojo, costing $109. He leads the league in blocks, still one of the most efficient in terms of finishing near the basket. Nick Claxton has been fantastic. And the fact that they dropped the Kia Defensive Player of the Year award, and Nick Claxton wasn't in the top 3, but Rob Will was. 1, I'll take that, because shout out to Rob Will. But 2, disrespectful, no doubt about it. And we didn't see your boy there either.
Neither of my boys.
That's a fact. Brook Lopez
Bam
being
Moore
1
Mobley.
was crazy, but he still is one of the. I think he's 2 right now in terms of blocks per game. But that's also because Jaren Jackson doesn't qualify.
He's been up there all
we
year,
spoke
though.
about
They
that.
value blocks.
Now, real quick, because you mentioned something very good. You said that that Kevin Durant being ranked over Steph Curry was a little shocking to you. Now, we had a discussion about this on the last show before Mojo officially released the NBA. Is Steph Curry right now ranks not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5th right now in terms of value and long-term value. To me, that's crazy, and we spoke about this, Riv. Do you think that Steph deserves to be behind Luka, behind Giannis, behind KD?
I think the way they're doing it is a little bit of projecting and what you're doing right now. But I think in terms of, you see the way they valued Westbrook and Chris Paul based off their careers, which was respectable. They put him at a respectable mark.
No doubt.
I think for Luka to be over him is a little disrespectful, just because I know his projection is insane, but Luka hasn't accomplished anything at the moment. And I think Steph, with the him being a 2-time MVP, 4-time champion, Finals MVP, all the good and the glamour. Out of respect, he should have been definitely up there with LeBron.
At minimum 3,
Durant.
I agree.
Yeah, he should have been up there with them because they've showed the respect in LeBron and Kevin Durant. And I'm not saying Steph is better than those guys, but in terms of the pantheon of our era greats, LeBron, KD, Steph, those are the 3 of the best, and they've been doing nothing but you're sick. They've been doing nothing but winning championships. So I would have liked to see Steph up there in the top 3.
The only thing that pisses me off about that is that Jokic is under Curry. Right, and Jokic is a back-to-back MVP with potential to be a back-to-back-to-back MVP. First since Larry Bird, and he's ranked underneath Luka Doncic. Listen, I'm not oblivious to what Luka's doing, but at the same time, he does not have the accolades that Nikola Jokic has. Simple. He does not have the accolades that Steph Curry has. I believe in his talent. I believe that we are witnessing an all-time great, no doubt. But we can't ignore the fact that Jokic is on that trajectory. But Curry is already solidified an all-time great.
And it's not like
he ain't done.
It's not like Luka has done anything in the playoffs. I mean, obviously made the WCF last year for the first time, but it's not like his performances are great. But he hasn't been to the finals, doesn't have a ring, obviously. So the difference, especially when you take into account, like you mentioned, Drew, possible 3-time MVP. Oh, Russell Westbrook, 260.
That's what I'm saying. So you have Russ still in the top 10, around top 10. Chris Paul is still ranked extremely high. And for Curry to not be top 3, it's kind of disrespectful. I understand.
Who would you take out? Giannis?
Giannis, with all due respect. I understand that Giannis is on a crazy trajectory also, but
he should be. Yeah, he should definitely be over Luka pretty comfortably, I would say.
I mean, like,
and if I'm not crazy for saying I want Jokic over Luka as well.
This is for careers, just so you guys know. We're not talking about one season. This is who would you take for the rest of their career. Some of this has their careers baked in. That's why LeBron is the most expensive. He's has the most awards and accolades.
So before we move on, we want to say, Mojo, you want to say something, John?
I've got one more player. I got a couple more players.
Here we go.
I want to ask you, Riff, draft guy over here, real quick. Jabari Smith, 96th, $111. You haven't watched too much of Jabari this year, but do you think that's a little bit low given your pre-draft valuation when looking at these rookies so far this year?
For starters, that first comment was fucking crazy.
Be honest, have you watched Jabari Smith this season?
The fact that he assumed it was crazy.
Well, have you watched a lot of Jabari?
It's not a shot.
No, it's not a shot because I haven't. I'll be honest. That's exactly what it is.
No,
Who's watching Rockets?
It called me off. He was like, "Well, I know you haven't watched the Rockets."
See, basically, told you.
I'm sorry. I asked the question one more time.
Given your pre-draft evaluation, when you look at Jabari Smith, 96th, do you think it's definitely a good opportunity to go long here in Jabari, long term?
Jabari is such a weird player because he doesn't have the foot speed to be a 3. He doesn't have the defensive versatility to be a 3, but he can't really be a 5 too. But he doesn't have the shooting right now to be a stretch. But I think with the right coaching, I think with the right players around him, the right point guard, I think he definitely develop into a small ball. He can develop into a stretch 4 because the shooting in college was already weird because he was shooting some ridiculous shots that weren't going to translate. Like he was shooting some out-of-body shots that really weren't going to translate. But I think with Jabari Smith Jr., 6'10", long, has the size, you take the gamble. It's just Houston is such a tough place to take a gamble on anybody because they don't have a coach. It's an AAU program over there. They don't have any systems. They don't have any culture. So it's hard to take a gamble on any of those players right now.
So once again, shout out to Mojo for finally releasing the NBA onto its platform. It has been a long time in the making, honestly. We've been waiting on this.
We've talked about that for months.
No doubt. And for it to be today of all days, finally, the moment's here. It's very exciting again. Pick a side 100, I believe, is our code for Mojo. It's down in the description below. Make sure if you're going to invest to use that code.